In my previous video, I discussed and demonstrated the latest changes to the WPA official rules of pool. Many people commented on the change concerning cue ball fouls only, which is common in league system rules where you are not penalized for touching or moving an object ball by mistake. This is no longer an option under the WPA official rules of pool. Instead, the rule is all ball fouls, where it is a foul to touch or move the cue ball or any object ball by mistake. In this video, I present arguments for why all leagues should follow all official rules of pool, including all ball fouls. I know if you have played in leagues under cue ball fouls only for a long time, it will be hard to accept something that might at first sound very different, but try to have an open mind as you watch the rest of this video. Let's start with an excerpt from my previous video that covers all ball fouls and gives examples. In the previous rules, there was a regulation that allowed cue ball fouls only rules when referees were not available. This is common in league systems where players are not penalized for touching or moving an object ball by mistake before, during, or after a shot. In these leagues, the opponent has the option to return moved balls to their previous locations after the inadvertent moves. Cue ball fouls only is no longer an option in the new WPA official rules of pool. Therefore, except when you have ball in hand where you are allowed to place the cue ball without touching any other balls, you are never allowed to touch or move any ball with anything except the cue tip with a single hit during a legal shot. For example, here I let my shirt touch the 13 ball during the shot. I made the ball move slightly with this touch, but even if the ball had remained perfectly still, the touch would still be a foul. And if you have big or long hair, you also need to be careful your hair doesn't touch any ball. This would be a foul whether or not the hair moved the ball. Anytime a ball is moved before a shot, intentionally or not, it is a foul. It is also a foul if a ball is touched or moved during a shot. You might think the game ended when the 8 was pocketed, but a shot is not over until all balls come to rest. Because the cue ball was still moving when the 13 was touched, this shot is a foul. And under 8-ball rules, if you foul while pocketing the 8 ball, you lose the game. I know this might sound harsh to league players out there, but the official rules are the official rules. This is how cue ball fouls only works in most leagues. If you touch the cue ball by mistake, it is always a foul, even if it was unintentional. However, it is not a foul if you move an object ball by mistake. It might look like I moved the 13 on purpose to make it easier to get the tip lower on the cue ball, but in most leagues it is not a foul to move an object ball like this. Here's another example where I move an object ball by mistake. It might look like the cue ball hit the 13 while I was trying to clear it with the jump shot, but the cue ball actually cleared the ball and my cue hit the 13 after. Again, in many leagues, this shot would be legal. However, there are many cases in most leagues where touching an object ball by mistake is a foul. Here are many examples. It is a foul to touch an object ball by mistake if you try to move the object ball back after you touch it, since only the opponent is allowed to do this. If you touch more than one object ball, if the moved object ball touches another object ball, if the moved object ball touches the cue ball, if a ball is in motion when you touch it, if an object ball is touched with a cue ball when in hand, if a moving ball makes contact with the touch ball, or if a moving ball passes through the space where the moved ball was before it was moved. This last one is the trickiest because you and your opponent need to know where the moved ball was. And you and your opponent need to be able to judge if another moving ball would have hit it during motion if it had not been moved. And you both need to agree to all of this. And after all of that, your opponent has the option to either leave the moved ball where it ends up or decide to put it back where they think it was before the move. Obviously, not all players will be as careful with this as others, and many players won't always have a good idea exactly where the moved ball was originally anyway. For example, here I moved the 11 by mistake. Again, my opponent has the option to reposition the 11 where they thought it was before I moved it. In this case, they could place it, intentionally or not, in a worse position that makes my next shot difficult. If you are the person who moved the ball by mistake during the shot, you might think this is unfair, but this sort of thing can happen often in leagues with cue ball fouls only rules. The main reason why American amateur league systems claim they prefer cue ball fouls only rules is it is less demanding, especially to novice or social players. These players might not enjoy the league experience if they are penalized often by petty rules for making small, honest mistakes like touching an object ball with their hand, cue, shirt, or hair. It is also thought that fewer arguments or disagreements might result. For example, if you were playing under all-ball fouls instead, your opponent might call a foul because they saw you touch or move a ball by mistake without you even noticing it. You might disagree, and this could lead to an argument and bad feelings. Now I'm going to make a case for why all leagues should use the official rules of pool, including all-ball fouls. First, just like any other sport or game, pool should be played properly based on the official rules. Touching balls, even if unintentionally, is not allowed under the WPA official rules of pool. With just a little care, it is not difficult to avoid touching balls by mistake. Here's an example from before. With attention to fundamentals, there is no reason to bump this ball. Next, if all leagues would simply use the official rules of pool, things would be a lot simpler. As listed on the Pool League Differences page linked in the video description or pinned comment below, this is not the case. Every league system has a different set of rules, and this can be confusing for everybody involved. If everybody in every league were playing under the same rules, there would be much less confusion, especially with players and referees who might be involved in multiple leagues in different organizations. Next, most pool around the world outside the United States is played under the official rules, including all-ball fouls. They know and accept that you are not allowed to touch balls you should not touch. There is no possibility for disagreements because everybody knows it is a foul, just like double hitting, hitting the wrong ball first, not getting a rail after contact, etc. Even in the US, as you advance to more serious pool, you will be expected to play under the official rules of the game, especially if you play in non-league tournaments or against better players. Next, as pointed out in the previous section, cue ball fouls only rules are very complex and difficult to explain, and all the possible situations that can arise can lead to much confusion, disagreements, arguments, and bad feelings. If the rules were simpler, there would be far fewer misunderstandings. Saying it is a foul to touch any ball is much simpler than saying the following. If you touch the cue ball by mistake, it is always a foul, even if it was unintentional. However, it is not a foul to touch the object ball by mistake unless you try to move the object ball back after you touch it, or you touch more than one object ball, or the moved object ball touches another object ball, or the moved object ball touches the cue ball, or the object ball is in motion when you touch it, or the touch is with the cue ball in hand, or a moving ball makes contact with the touch ball, or a moving ball passes through the space where the moved ball was before it was moved. Side effects might include anger, disappointment, bad feelings, and looking like a fool. Try explaining all these details to a social or novice player and expect them to want to stay in the league and obey all these rules. Good luck with that. Next, detecting if a ball is touched or moved by mistake is very easy by both the shooter and observers. The same cannot be said for other fouls in pool. For example, most league players, especially novice and social players, are clueless about how to detect double hits or whether a wrong ball was hit first or not. In fact, even experienced professional referees sometimes make mistakes calling these types of fouls. Many examples can be found on the Bad Calls in Pro Matches page linked below. To learn how to easily detect these types of fouls, see the videos and info on the double hit and which ball was hit first resource pages linked below. If you know what to look for, these types of fouls are very easy to detect. Finally, there are many possible fouls in pool, so adding one more, which is among the easiest to detect, should not be as big a concern as some people might think. Here's a partial list of the many fouls already enforced in most pool leagues. Hitting the cue ball twice, touching the cue ball by mistake, touching a ball with the cue ball with ball in hand, hitting the wrong ball first with the cue ball, not driving a ball to a rail after ball contact, not having a foot in contact with the floor during a hit, not driving 4 balls to rails on a break shot, scratching, pushing the cue ball, intentionally miscuing, intentionally jumping with a scoop shot, lifting or dropping the cue instead of stroking forward, driving a ball off the table, marking the cloth with a chalk tip, marking an aim point on the rail with a chalk or anything else, interfering with ball motion, not marking the pocket called for the 8, etc. And again, many of these are more difficult to detect and can involve more disagreements and bad feelings as compared to seeing if a ball is touched or moved by mistake. In summary, pool should be played using the official rules of the game. All leagues should use the same rules instead of making up their own. The United States should play pool like the rest of the world plays pool. Cue ball fouls only rules are complex, confusing, and difficult to apply. Ball touches are very easy to both detect and avoid with a little care. And since there are already many fouls in pool, adding a simple one is not a big deal. The best way to prevent disagreements, arguments, and bad feelings in pool leagues is to be knowledgeable of the rules, be friendly, and have good sportsmanship. If you want to improve your knowledge, see the videos and info on the Rules and Fouls resource pages linked below. Novice players should especially be encouraged to take advantage of these free resources so they can learn how the game is played. Now let's look at some examples of the best ways to deal with rules-related situations that might come up in league play. It is always best to be honest about fouls, as I demonstrate here. That cue ball went forward. I double hit that. That's your game. Thanks, man. You're a classy dude. Here's another. Wait, that was a double hit, that last shot. Oh, I can see that now. That ball went flying forward. Didn't hesitate at all. Well, thanks for understanding, dude. That's cool. Sometimes you might not be aware of a foul, but again, have good sportsmanship and admit a foul when it is called and clear. Hold up. You hit that 11 with the back of your cue. That's a foul, man. Oh, you know, you're right. That ball was over here somewhere. Sorry about that, man. I didn't feel it. Damn. Thanks for being cool. Not everybody would do that. I appreciate it. Now, occasionally, there will be a player who will be dishonest or make wrong calls, sometimes on purpose, and refuse to be reasonable or admit a mistake. Here's an example of bad behavior. It is clear from the ball layout that the 5 cannot be pocketed with a legal shot into the 3 first. You didn't leave me much, man. 5 inside. Ha! Wait, what? You know that ain't right. You hit the 5 with the tip. It's the only way it could have gone in. What you talking about? I hit the 3 first. I called the 5 in that side. Whatever. That's a legal shot, man. If you thought it'd be a foul, you should have called a ref. Here's an example of a dishonest call. Good game. Good game from me. You touched that 11 with your shirt, you lose. What do you mean? Come on, man. I tucked in my shirt. I looked down. There is no way I touched that ball. The best way to handle this sort of thing is to calmly report these situations to team captains and league operators so they can discourage the dishonest and unsportsmanlike behavior. If a player shows a pattern of bad behavior like this, a responsible league operator will ask them to no longer play in the league. The league will be a much more inviting and fun place to be without people like that. We also need to be aware of and sensitive to novice and social players who are in the league just to have fun. If they have no realistic chance to beat you, you might just let some fouls slide while letting them know about it so they can be more careful in the future as they learn more about the rules of the game. Here's an example. You know what a double hit is? That shot was actually a foul. What you mean? I called that ball. That was a good shot. What do you mean by double hit? I only hit the ball once. I know you just joined the league, so I'm not going to penalize you for it, but I just want to let you know some people would call that because you hit that ball more than once, even though it's really tough to tell. I can tell because the cue ball went forward right away. All right, sorry, man. I'm new to the league. I don't know all these fancy rules you and Dr. Dave talk about. I'm going to watch this video, so I'll learn how to do that in the future. Thank you, man. That's cool. Let me go next. I appreciate that. All right, sounds good. Dr. Dave has some good videos, so you might learn something. The best thing you can do to help prevent possible foul-related disagreements and bad feelings during play is the following. Anytime you think there might be a chance for a rule infraction on a particular shot, you can ask for a player from either team or an impartial observer to watch the shot. The selected observer must be agreed to by both players, and both players must also agree to abide by any decisions the observer makes concerning fouls. Even better, ask the observer or offer to the player to record the shot with slow-motion video on a smartphone. If the call isn't obvious live, or if there is disagreement, a quick review of the video will provide the correct answer. Here's an example. 8 inside. Hold up. You mind if I call somebody over to watch the shot? Or can I just use my smartphone to record it? No, I ain't got no problem with that. Oh, you think I'm gonna hit that 13 first, huh? I ain't gonna hit that 13 first. I'm a better shooter than that. Okay. All right, I'll wait for you to get ready. I'm ready when you are. Yeah. Sorry, man, that was a foul. Oh, what, you think I hit the 13 first? If it was a good hit, it would have hit the 8, 13. The 13 would have gone that way. The 13 ended up going that way. So that means you hit the 13 first. Sorry, dude. Man, we gotta watch the video. I'm not sure about that. Okay, let's watch the video. The video never lies. If you do not call an observer over or video record a shot, and you see a foul that the shooter does not see or agree with, the benefit of the doubt must always go to the shooter. So if you think there is a chance a foul could occur on a shot, always ask somebody to observe the shot or record it with your phone. Otherwise, don't argue if the shooter does not agree with your call. I agree that it might seem reasonable for amateur leagues to have as few fouls and rules as possible to keep the game more fun and with fewer chances for misunderstandings. But how far should that be taken? In addition to allowing players to touch object balls they should not touch, should we also allow touching the cue ball by mistake? Or double hits? Or barely hitting the wrong ball first? Or no rail after ball contact? Or intentional miscue shots? Or push shots? Or intentional scoop jump shots? Or cue lift and cue drop shots? Or hitting a ball other than the cue ball with the tip during a shot? Or bumping a table to help a hanger drop? Or blowing on a ball to make it stop? Or bridging on top of an object ball in the way? Or using the butt of the cue to move the cue ball away from the cushion when it is too close for comfort? Well, the main reason we don't allow stuff like this is none of it is allowed under the official rules of pool. Also, if you start allowing stuff like this, it opens up a can of worms and can change the game too much. This is not how pool should be played. And the same can be said about touching balls. Per the official rules of pool, you should not touch balls you are not supposed to touch, period. So what do you think? Should pool leagues continue to use non-standard rules? And should they continue to play under cue ball fouls only rules? I know this is a touchy subject since there is tradition and inertia involved with doing something a certain way for a long time. But based on all the arguments presented in this video, I hope you agree that all league systems should consider following the official rules of pool. And I hope you also agree that allowing players to touch balls by mistake is not a good thing. If so, please share this video and have discussions with your teammates, league operators, and league owners and administrators to try to get things changed. Have fun in league, and good luck with your game from Dr. Dave.